So for this video, I thought it'd be really fun to go through some drawing hacks with you guys, and for this one we're going to be going through coloured pencil drawing hacks. We're going to be going through 12. All of these hacks will help you get even better results with your coloured pencil drawings, so let's get straight into it with the first hack. If you're getting fed up with your coloured pencil drawings always looking really grainy, the colours not being vibrant enough and seeing too much of the paper texture show through, then there's a really quick and easy way that you can solve all three of those problems, and that is by using a solvent and applying it with a brush. I typically like to use my Filbert brushes of different sizes for this and my Zest-It pencil blend, but you can use any solvent that you want, Gamsol, paint thinner, anything like that works really well. And as you can see, when you apply it with a brush, it just fuses all of those colours together, gives a really smooth look, gets rid of all of the graininess of that coloured pencil, and it really just smooths everything out and makes the colours so much more vibrant. I love using this technique for loads of my drawings, particularly animal ones, because you can layer really well with this technique, and as you can see, it just gives it a really painterly look, and then you can go over the top with more details. Now, sometimes you may want to use black, but you might not have an actual black pencil, or you might want a black that looks a bit more natural. And so you can go and make your own black just by using a dark blue and a dark brown and just layering those two colours together. As you can see, I'm layering dark blue first. I'm using two Prismacolor pencils for this, the indigo blue and the dark brown. And I just used lots and lots of layers of the blue and then the brown, and then I just keep swapping. And then I will go in with my solvent and actually blend all of that out. And you can see that it starts to become a really nice, rich black tone. Now let's move on to the third hack, and this hack is going to involve using tape, and I use Scotch Magic tape. And the first thing that I really like to use the tape for is it's good at lifting off coloured pencil, which means that if you make any mistakes and you want to lift up that coloured pencil but you don't want to damage the paper, then you can go in with your Scotch Magic tape. And I like this tape because it doesn't damage the paper, and as you can see, the more and more you use the tape, the more coloured pencil it lifts off the paper. So what it means is it's not as harsh as erasers are on the paper, which is great, and it just means that you can lift off that coloured pencil if you make a mistake and then go in with more coloured pencil and fix it. Another thing that the tape is really good for is adding little details and textures. So I've just added a patch of coloured pencil and I've laid a bit of tape over the top, and I've just got rid of most of the tackiness by going over with that tape on the back of my hand. And now I'm using a ballpoint pen just to draw in a little pattern, and it means that it's indenting the actual paper. I just remove the tape, and as you can see, when I go over the top with another layer of coloured pencil, the coloured pencil doesn't go into where I created that pattern. Now the next hack is really useful for those of you that find that you're constantly sharpening your coloured pencils and you feel like they go blunt really easily. So this is a really easy tip that is going to massively prolong the sharpness of your pencil. So what I do is I rotate my pencil as I'm shading. Every couple of seconds I rotate the pencil, and what this means is that you're working on the pencil at an even rate. I'm also holding it on the side as well, not straight down vertically, otherwise you will blunt it a lot quicker. And just changing these couple things, holding it more sideways and rotating the pencil, as you can see, really keeps that pencil a lot sharper for longer. Now I'm sure we've all accumulated our little collection of tiny cute little pencils that are just impossible to hold, and you're not really sure what to do with them, but you don't want to throw them away either. It can be really hard to control the pencil when it's so small. So what I really recommend getting is a couple of pencil extenders, and these are really cheap. I'll leave a link in the description where you can pick some up, and as you can see, you just put the little pencil into that, and now you've got an extended amount of room to hold the pencil and use it like normal. But some of my pencils don't really fit into my pencil extender, so what I do to get around that, if you feel like some of your pencils just don't fit, is I just put a bit of tape at the end, and it makes it a lot more sturdy. Quite often, if you do a lot of heavy shading or burnishing, you can often get a lot of these little bits of coloured pencil all over your work. And what you really don't want to do is smudge that by wiping them away. As you can see, it makes your hands really dirty. Instead, what I like to use is a big fluffy brush, and you can use whatever brush you want, and just use this instead to wipe away all of those little bits. It's a lot easier, it creates a lot less mess on your hands, and it prevents smudging. One thing that can be really annoying is when you notice that your pencil sketch is showing through your colored pencil work. So this happens if your sketch is too dark. You can see that when I'm adding the colored pencil over the top, it makes the pencil, the graphite pencil, look even darker than it did when I've just put it down. Somehow the colored pencil seems to make it look even darker. But what I recommend is do your sketching like normal. As you can see, I'm not sketching super light, but what I do is I go in with a kneaded eraser, and you need to do this with a kneaded eraser because a kneaded eraser lifts off the graphite really evenly. It doesn't completely get rid of it, which is important because you still need to be able to lightly see your sketch underneath, but it removes the top layer of excess graphite so it doesn't show through. Colored pencil can be a really slow medium to work in, but sometimes you might not have 50 hours available to spend on a drawing. You might want to do a portrait, but you just don't have time to do it in colored pencil. Well, if you still want to use colored pencil, what I recommend is trying some toned paper, because why this is amazing is that you've already got the mid-tone value there, so you just have to worry about adding shadows and your highlights. Whereas when you're using white paper, you have to build up all the mid-tone values, all of the shadows as well. The only things that you can use the white paper for is the highlights, which there's very few of. Whereas when you use the tone paper, you've got the mid-tone value, or you can choose any color that will suit what you need, and this will make it a lot faster. Sometimes you might feel that no matter how hard you try and shade really evenly, you still get those darker pencil strokes showing through and it just doesn't look even. Well, this can be because of the way you're holding your pencil. Instead of holding it right at the front and holding it vertically, try holding your pencil a bit further back and shading on the side of the pencil. As you can see, this makes it a lot easier to get an area really smooth because of the fact that you're not applying as much pressure. It's more of a constant pressure, and it just means that you're going to get much smoother shading. You might be drawing an animal piece and want to preserve the whiskers, and it can be very time consuming manually trying to draw around each of them. What would make it a lot easier is if you invest in an X-Acto knife and use this to actually etch in those whiskers or white hairs before you go in with your coloured pencils. This means that when you go over the top with your coloured pencils, the pencil can't get into the areas where you've indented, which means that they are preserved and stay really white, and it just makes it so much easier. Also, you can do this by using a bit of tape. I've removed most of the stickiness and going over the top with a ballpoint pen to pretty much do the same thing to indent it into the paper. But with the ballpoint pen, you can actually see what you're doing and what marks you're making. So that could be easier for you, and also easier if you don't want to use a knife. Trying to fill in all of the white grain of the paper can be really time consuming with colored pencils and can drive you mad if you don't like burnishing and applying a lot of pressure to the pencil. And so apart from solvent, a great way that you can fill in the white of the paper is actually using a different medium as well as your colored pencils. So you could use markers, which is great. Apply a base layer of marker and then add the colored pencils on top. You could use watercolor for your base layer and do pretty much the same thing, a base layer of watercolor, and then add your colored pencil on top, add the shadows and the highlights. Or you could even use pastels, so smudge out that as a base layer and then go over the top with colored pencils as well, and use your initial layers like a mid-tone value and then go in with the colored pencils to establish the shadows and the highlights. And this can make it faster and give you more vibrant results, and you don't have to worry about the white grain. And my last hack is all about making lots of colours. You might not be able to afford the full set of coloured pencils and you might only have a small amount. But that doesn't mean that you can't get even more colours than, for example, the 6 colours that I'm displaying here. So if you have a small amount of pencils, create a colour chart. Start by mixing them 2 at a time and then even mix 3 colours at a time. And you can make hundreds of different colours just by mixing the different colours together. For those of you that love drawing realistically with colour pencils and want to focus on drawing portraits, then I have got a whole course where you can learn all of my techniques for creating photorealistic portraits in colour pencils, so you can see how I pick colours for my drawings, how I draw facial features, how I draw hair, how I draw skin, and lots more. So I'll leave a link to that in the description. You can check that out, watch the course trailer, and if you want to get the course, then you can use the code SAVE15 to get 15% off at checkout. Anyway, that is it for this video, but I do have tons more ideas for more drawing hacks for coloured pencils. So if you did enjoy this video, then comment down below and let me know if you want to see like a part 2 to this video, and I can make another one. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe and tick that bell icon to get notified on my future art videos. But that is it from me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.